Wednesday, after the Fregley mishap, Olivia decided we could drop the whole narc act. Instead, we're planning the homecoming dance coming up next month. So far, it's actually pretty fun. We're able to make executive decisions on the music playlist, which is going to be a huge step up from the middle school dance. Homecoming playlist, Intergalactic Beastie Boys. What do you want from me, Forever the Kids? TikTok, Kisha, Magic Pilot. No, mighty Boston's, alright. The only problem is I need to start thinking about finding someone to go with to homecoming before everyone's already taken. Yesterday, Tyson Sanders asked Holly Hills during lunch. He brought this huge teddy bear and a fancy poster. Holly, I couldn't bear to go to homecoming with you. A bunch of guys saw what was happening, and soon enough, there was a whole crowd gathered around them, cheering Tyson on. Holly said no, though, and that really let the air out of the room. I don't know what Tyson was thinking, but because Holly is way out of his league. Holly was just waiting for Bryce Anderson to ask her. In fact, girls have been asking him first, which is making sharing home really uncomfortable. I'll admit, seeing Bryce get all this attention gets under my skin. I've come to realize that a girl is probably never going to approach me in my lifetime. I'm seriously considering not going to homecoming at all. Twisted Wizard Online is coming out the same weekend and it's supposed to be amazing. Anyways, I don't know who started this whole poster trend, but it's totally annoying. I definitely don't want to dump a ton of effort into one just to get rejected. On the way home, I saw Tyson's teddy bear stuffed into the dumpster behind school, which was pretty depressing. Thursday, with homecoming just over 2 weeks, I realized we were already a month into the school year, and I'd barely made any progress on my quest for popularity. I would have to do something big if I wanted to turn things around. I'm going to go to homecoming with Olivia Olsen. There's a lot of perks in going with Olivia. For starters, Olivia is a sophomore, which would give me a ton of cred with the guys. Plus, Olivia could introduce me to all of her older friends. And before you know it, I'll be up there with Bryce in popularity. Speaking of Bryce, he's throwing a huge party after homecoming. Bryce lives on the north side of town near Holly, so I know he's loaded. Unfortunately, there's no way I could get invited, but I'm still keeping my ears peeled. October. Friday. Starting this week, the student council has to meet before school instead of after. Someone in the yearbook club complained they didn't have enough space, so they got a classroom. So now I have to get to school at 7 a.m. on Fridays, which is awful. Here's the thing, teens my age need way more sleep than adults do. I've read plenty of studies, they all say school shouldn't start until 10 a.m. So there's no wonder half the school shows up looking like zombies. This isn't the first time adults have screwed over us teens to have it their way. In history, you know that back in the 60s, teens were being shipped off to war before they could even have a beer. Now, I love my country and all, but if I had to choose between the two, it's a no-brainer. I wish I could find the war, but I have acute gastritis. People in Spain really have this whole sleeping thing figured out. Last week in Spanish class, we learned that they get to take siestas smack in the middle of the day. I'm totally about that life. So maybe after college, I could move there. But I got C- on our last test, though, so maybe I need to take Spanish more seriously for that to ever happen. Tuesday. When I got home today, I was greeted with a nasty surprise. Long time no see, Bobby. Understandably, it took me a moment to process the horrific reality in front of me. Once I came to my senses, I managed to spit out the most logical question in my situation. What are you doing here? So the story is, once Rodrick got to college, he joined some fraternity and spent all of his time partying and none of it studying. Remember that one time Rodrick slept an entire day? History repeated itself, but on the day he had all of his midterms, it would be basically impossible for him to recover his grade, so he had to drop out this semester. What do you mean the exam was yesterday? So thanks to that, Rodrick is living here again, instead of thousands of miles away from me. Tuition for Rodrick's college was pretty expensive, so mom said he was going to have to get a job to prove himself before applying somewhere else for the spring. Rodrick being back in the house is a little annoying for me, but the one who seems really down is Dad. I don't think I've seen Dad as depressed as he was that day. I shouldn't be surprised about Rodrick dropping out. It turns out Dad actually wrote all of his college admission essays for him. Ironically, now he's timing out Rodrick's resume to apply for jobs. With the racket Rodrick has going, he can ride this out for life. But I shouldn't have known something was up when the college decided to admit Rodrick in the first place. Wednesday, I just found my way into Bryce's party. Today at lunch, Bryce was going over his plans with his cronies. We're gonna need a ton of alcohol, and Tyler bailed. How many of you guys have an older sibling who can come through? My brother's in college and he can get everything you need. I told Bryce I could take care of everything on the condition that I would get to go to the party. To my surprise, he accepted. After school, I told Rodrick my situation and asked if he could come through for me with this one time. No. I don't know why I expected anything else. I wasn't going to let this opportunity pass me by though. I had a chance to go to the biggest party in my grade and possibly go with a girl older than me. If things went right, I could be the talk of the school after homecoming. Saturday. This afternoon, I sneaked into Rodrick's room while he was applying for jobs with dad. With the amount of drinking I saw Rodrick doing in college from his social media, I figured he had a fake ID. Sure enough, I found an age 21 driver's license with his pictures stuffed in his driver. Rodrick is only 19, but he could probably pass his 21. Me though, I could walk right back into Westmont, nobody would bat an eye. I knew I wouldn't be able to do this alone, so I called up Raleigh. Now I knew Raleigh wasn't going to be too hot on the whole underage drinking thing, so I skipped over some of the details, but I did tell him that Josh would be making a special appearance at Bryce's party. I know I stretched the truth a bit there, but Riley's a brute and there's no way I'd have the energy to carry everything back myself. We had just started a planned eyeliner to make me look older when I heard Rodrick's voice behind us. You don't look like my picture, idiot. You losers are gonna get yourselves arrested. I guess I hadn't fully thought if this was planned through. Rodrick said he had a change of heart and would be willing to buy us the drinks for us. I thought he was going to ask for money in return, but he said something that really surprised me. He said Dad had applied for him to work at Sahara Warehouse next month, and he wanted me to find him a different job. I actually couldn't understand where Rodrick was coming from. I've heard about Sahara Warehouse in the news, and apparently they work you like a dog. I agreed immediately just because I didn't want to pay anything. I guess not having to commit a felony while wearing makeup was a bonus too. Riley was a little confused about what was going on, so I just told him this meant we would get to see Joshy for sure. Monday. I saw something interesting on my way to chemistry today. Olivia and Riley were together chatting it up like pals. If I had known Riley was friends with Olivia, I would have told him to put in a good word for me a long time ago. I planned to ask him in class what the big deal was, but Miss Bell said something that got my attention. We're having our first lab of the year, and we would get to work in pairs. You'll probably think that the obvious decision is to ask to work with Olivia, but it's not that simple. See, my grade in chemistry isn't great, but there's a reason I'm still passing. A few weeks ago, I was doing all my homework. I found a website that had all the answers to the worksheets Miss Bell gave us. So I've been getting perfect grades on all of my assignments without having to actually learn anything. Working with Olivia would expose me as a moron who had no idea what was going on. But right then, I saw Riley moving towards Olivia's desk, which gave me the courage I needed to finally make my move. Olivia, will you be my lab partner? Sure. Riley seemed a little steamed for some reason. I don't know what his problem is, since he's always giggling with a bunch of other girls in the back of a class. He's got plenty of partners to choose from. I didn't have time to worry about him though. Step 1 of my plan was complete. Now that Olivia and I are working together, she'll get to see what a great person I am. She's normally busy during student council meetings, but now I'll have her undivided attention. She'll have to say yes when I ask her to homecoming. And for the record, when I say what a great person I am, I mean the act I'm going to be putting on for her. I know who I am. Friday, Olivia and I have finished the experiment part of the lab today. Well, Olivia's done most of the work, but I help out when I can. She really is super smart. At the very least, I'll get a good grade out of this. But the lab report is due Monday, so I enacted part 2 of my plan. Hey, you want to come over to my house to finish up the lab report? Yeah, I can come over around 2 or 3. Success. Saturday. This morning I told everyone that Olivia was coming over to study, and maybe they could all stay out of the way. I thought Dad would be annoyed, but he was actually genuinely happy for me. I think he was just glad someone besides Riley was coming over for the first time in like 5 years. That's boss, son. Mom was reading a book and Manny was distracted by some TV show, so I didn't have to worry about them. Fortunately, Rodrick was actually awake for some reason. He wouldn't go down to the basement. See the lady, Greg. The night before, I crammed as much as possible so I wouldn't be a complete moron. But that's not all I did. I also had this great idea for talking to Olivia. I didn't want to have any awkward moments, so I brainstormed a bunch of conversation starters. I knew Olivia would notice if I had random paper on the table, so I wrote them in the side of the margin on my chemistry notes. I had until 2:30 to make sure everything was in order. Every 5 minutes or so, Rodrick would go out into the kitchen and only take a single grape out of the fridge. And each time he'd walk past us, he'd make this obnoxious moaning noise. I tried to put a stop to it, but it all backfired badly. I'm sorry about deadbeat unemployed college dropout older brother. I'm sorry about Gregory, my wimpy brother, who still writes in a diary. Oh, and I recorded the last episode of The Bachelor for you, since I know that's your favourite show. I really wanted to let Rodrick have it, but I knew it wouldn't be a good look to start wrestling each other in front of Olivia. At one point, Rodrick went down to the basement and started drumming the riff from a specific video sharing site, but I'm not sure if Olivia recognized it or not. I already know this is the thingy intro. I'm not gonna say, but you know, yeah, if you know, you know. Your brother's a drummer? My other sister is too. She works at Guitar Central. I made I made a mental note to tell Rodrick to apply for the job. Of course, he gets rewarded for torturing me. The rest of the afternoon actually went well, though. It was nearly 6 p.m. by the time we finished. My confidence was soaring. I was about to ask Olivia if she wants to go to get something to eat when mom said something that ruined everything. Olivia, why don't you stay for dinner? Great, now my family has all evening to make a fool of me. Step 3 of my plan was to take Olivia to Papa Tony's and ask her to homecoming there. So much for that happening. I'll spare you most of the details of dinner. Mom and Dad were predictably embarrassing, but Olivia seemed unfazed by everything going on. I used to have something to keep Rodrick off my back. Guess what Rodrick's buying for me? Ooh, a new phone charger. When dinner was finally over, Mom said I should walk Olivia home since it was dark out. On the way there, Olivia told me my family was hilarious and she wished her family was as entertaining. I just laughed because I didn't know how else to respond to such an insane statement. As we got to the doorstep of our house, I realized there wasn't probably going to be a better time than now to complete the last step of my plan. I took a deep breath and tried my best to ignore the knot in my stomach and the sweat dripping profusely down my back, despite the cold air. Olivia, I was wondering if you wanted to go to homecoming with me. You always hear from adults that the worst she can say is no, but I've seen enough coming of age movies to know that's not true. With you? You seriously thought I'd want to go with a loser like you? And at 911, I'm being harassed. For whatever reason, reality was better this time. What? No, poser. I'm kidding. Of course I'll go with you.